Hi. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Rene Cruz Jr.
And I'm Clifford Hong Kong.
and we are those fucking
Fucking
nerds.
nerds.
We are once again live to talk about comic books and whether or not you should buy them. We read comics for you. We're great like that. We're nice people.
We buy the books for
Yes.
you. That's
That's
best
our
part.
justification for doing this. Pag nakikita na parang gumagastos ka ng this. Hindi, kailangan sa vlog.
Right.
We don't want
the justification.
Yeah. So today, if you watched the previous episode, you kind of know what we're talking about. If you read the caption, you know what we'll be discussing. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are handling Astonishing X-Men, the entire run.
Whee!
Written by Joss Whedon.
and John Cassaday.
If you don't know who Joss Whedon is,
Josco.
oh, now you're
That's
on
name.
the wrong page, man. Joss Whedon directed the first Avengers movie. Let's not talk about the second one. He directed the first Avengers movie.
And he did a lot of my favorite TV shows are done by Joss Whedon.
Mine
Firefly,
too.
Dollhouse,
Buffy,
of course.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He created that. He also directed half of the Justice League movie. So like the guy's king of the nerds, man. This guy writes comics, and he directed the Avengers and the Justice League. Like, think about it. Like, regardless of like whether you like the thing or not, like, come on, man. Like, that's a dream come true, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, Joss Whedon is one of the. If there was a like Mount Rushmore of nerd stuff, Joss would be on that. Like Stanley, Joss Whedon.
He said Joss.
Oh wow.
Whoa, that's lame.
So this is like book 1 and book 2. That it covers the entire run. So there's 2 books, so you get extra Joss. Boom! Came back with a yeah.
Oh, someone's watching.
Oh.
Hello, someone. I don't know who that
I
is.
think that person tuned in because of the extra Joss. Mm.
We won't mind the sponsorship actually.
So now again, Astonishing X-Men. I did the recap for the last book.
Yeah.
Cliff, so
So-
talk about the basic storyline and the plot of this.
Without spoilerizing it.
Mhm.
Well, this Astonishing X-Men took over right after Grant Morrison's run, which we may discuss at a later time. I don't know.
Yes,
But,
we will. We have to.
The run written by Joss Whedon and John Cassaday, it sort of marks the return because if you have been reading the previous runs, this was the time when X-Men movies were all the rage, so they were all wearing
The
leather jackets.
Yeah.
So he's an X-Man.
Mm-hmm.
And so the comics followed suit. So this is the time when you would see Wolverine wearing the shirtless leather jacket
Unzipped
thing.
jacket.
Yeah. And then when Joss Whedon took over, they
You made it a point to like put them back in the costumes.
yes, and there was an explanation in the book, which you will be reading the first issue, and so they introduced new villains. You got Cassandra Nova, which is purportedly no, I'm not going to mention the twist, but
Yeah.
she's one of the main villains of the first few arcs, and then this also introduced some new characters like
Armor, yes. So
Yeah.
mutant who has like an energy armor around her.
and there are
She
some,
kind of serves as Wolverine's new Jubilee.
oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for Jubilee for the new millennium.
Wolverine always has some form of relationship with younger female X-Men members. He started off with Kitty Pryde, and
Right.
then Jubilee, and then Armor. So he kind of, and then like he had in the Logan movie, had a daughter.
Mhm.
I think that's how his character is. Like
But
he's
that was X-23
yeah, but I think he's just always looking for
kids.
yeah.
That sounds so.
Mm.
So anyway, yeah,
Now,
this is a pretty
Yeah.
short run. How many issues are these?
24, 22.
Plus an annual, I think.
Mhm.
Collect. Oh man.
This is 1 to 12.
Yeah, 13 to 24, and the giant size Astonishing X-Men #1. So pretty short.
Oh, wait, let me add something. This is not a spoiler, but aside from the stuff that Clifford mentioned about introducing a new X-Man in armor and a new villain that is like now one of the more important X-Men villains, this run also features the return of Colossus.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Yeah,
Almost forgot that.
he's one of my favorite X-Men, and he was dead for a few years, right? Like
Right,
a
right.
few years.
He didn't show up in New X Men.
Yeah, he died because of the virus,
Yeah.
or because of magic. Magic, his sister, not Magic the Gathering.
What?
Yeah.
How did that even?
I don't know. But yeah, the character was dead for a few years, and yeah, the run again. This is not a spoiler because well, one, he's on the cover,
Yeah.
and two, he shows up early
And
in the run. Yeah.
that particular issue where he returned,
Mhm.
the way he returned.
Yeah,
that-
that's one thing that
that's-
you.
That's what even if it's a year, a bunch of years
Mhm.
old, it's still worth not spoiling.
Yeah.
It's that good.
So like unlike the other things that we review where like it's focused on one story arc, this is an entire run.
Mhm.
So it's a bunch of story arcs. So like you see certain, like different villains, different situations, but if you're a fan of Joss Whedon, and you should be, like if you've been watching, you know, you see that one of his strengths is humor and dialogue, and it certainly shows in this entire run. Like the characters interact like they're
Buffy would be a good example.
Oh,
The-
yeah,
the dialogue.
Buffy the Vampire. Actually, that's my main comment. I'll save that for a bit later when I'm
Right.
doing the cons.
Cons.
But yeah, right now, like one strength of this is that one trouble with superhero books, especially the ones that have teams, there's always the danger of them getting along too well to the point that they're like Scooby Doo, like
Yeah,
everyone's
yeah.
like super friends.
They're saying
Yeah,
the same
super
thing
friends.
essentially.
Yeah. Or they might go to the extreme where they don't like each other, there's conflict,
Mhm.
and sometimes writers overdo it.
Yeah.
Whedon in this run perfectly like balances that because the X-Men they're a team. They're more than a team, they're a family.
Yes.
And like with every family, they don't always get along. So all of the confrontations, all of the conflict between team members, they seem well not real because they're mutants and they
Yeah.
fight about like really weird shit. But the interactions are at the very least believable. Like you would be able to relate on some level. So and I like my superheroes a little fleshed out. Like they're not just here I come to save the day.
Yeah.
That's Mighty Mouse. But like that's one strength that this run has, and it's a strength brought exclusively by Joss Whedon's writing because he's an excellent writer. And the art. It's
And-
all about the art.
Well, that first arc is for those who are following the X-Men movies.
Mm.
Yeah, you might be a part of the third X-Men movie, The Last Stand. The first arc was sort of adapted
Mm.
from it. Not all of the elements, but the part about the cure, mutant cure. It's there,
Yeah. Huh?
except that the comic did it in a more what do you call that? With better dialogue.
Mhm.
So,
It's just it's definitely better than the movies.
I like
'cause the
Ward,
movies
that alien guy.
Mhm.
Ward of the Break World.
And he does look like a generic alien overlord. Like, again, this is a classic splash page
Oh,
from
yeah.
the run. They actually used this for one of the covers. But look, it's them suiting up. And I think this is the first time they wear the costumes again.
Yeah.
In the run, like that.
The first issue, Cyclops explained it. It's like
Yeah.
people, they were the leather jackets were making people nervous, and they wanted to just establish a wholesome, I
Mhm.
guess, image. I mean,
Like they're superheroes, like they
Yeah.
want to look like superheroes. And I love this line, like it justifies the title. Like the basically Cyclops is justifying like we don't want to scare them. The line is we have to astonish them. So yeah, astonishing X-Men. Actually, it was in this like I saw when you opened the book.
Right.
I think this is also the first appearance of Abigail Brand
and Sword.
and Sword. They're the agency that deals with extraterrestrial matters.
Which we mentioned in our previous episodes.
Yeah.
One of the world.
Because Shield handles Earth stuff,
Yeah.
Sword handles everything else outside the Earth, outside the planet. So these are his books. I'm waiting for him to upgrade to hardcovers because I will be buying them.
I'm still on the lookout. I mean,
Yeah.
should we get into that?
Not yet. Like let's discuss it again. Storyline wise, we can't we can't judge the entire book based on specific storylines because this covers the
Yeah.
entire run.
Yeah, but this is around the same time that Marvel and DC were like going into storylines that last six
Hmm.
issues, and then arc one, arc two, and then
Yeah, it's actually a trend now because if you're a regular comic book reader,
Mhm.
if you like, meaning if you read every individual issue as they come out
Mhm.
on a weekly or monthly basis, you would notice that whenever there's a writer and an artist in charge of a book,
Mhm.
they plan out the entire run. Like
Yeah.
it's like you're watching one season of a TV show
Right.
because they always start their run on a fresh arc and they always end the run with something that basically closes the entire run. That's they always plant seeds for at least at the very least the next 12 issues of the book. And you can actually see that here because again, Joss Whedon is a seasoned TV writer, so he knows how to pace his storylines.
Right.
You could also notice that like when the show Buffy the Vampire Slayer ended at season 7, he came out with Buffy season 8, but in comic book form. So that's also like he writes comics the way that he writes episodes of TV shows. So in a sense, because I remember I read this entire run in one entire day,
Nice.
not one sitting because I had to like shower, like eat and shit. But it was like I didn't put it down because the was one story arc always transitioned very well into the next one. It was very nice for me. And again, this is where I get into the cons, which isn't really a con for me.
Hmm.
For me as a fan, it's not a bad thing. For me as a writer, though, that's this is my complaint because I am a big Joss Whedon fan. I am obsessed with Buffy the Vampire Slayer. If you're a big fan as I am of Buffy the Vampire Slayer,
Hmm.
and again, I'm not a fan of the X-Men. I picked this up because it was Joss Whedon.
Hmm.
The fucking thing, the entire run, it's like I was reading Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Every character plays like a specific, role.
Episode. Okay.
Not like because Kitty Pryde is Buffy. Like if you watch the show religiously and then you read this, like I couldn't. Again, I was reading it, I couldn't help but notice it. Buffy is Kitty Pryde. Colossus is Angel. Beast is Giles. Wolverine is Spike. Like Cordelia is White Queen. Like Emma Frost is Cordelia.
You could just swap the characters.
Yes, like they talk the same way. They like act the same way. You know how like Spike is always in his crypt, being cool, and then like that's how Wolverine is. Like he's always in one corner of the mansion drinking beer, taking care of Armor, who is like Buffy's sister Dawn.
Oh god.
So it's again like it only became a con. Like I only considered a bad thing because I'm such a big fan that it became distracting. Because
Right.
like halfway through the run, I couldn't distinguish. Like I don't know if I was reading and I didn't even think it was a coincidence that in this entire run, the central figure, it is one of the rare times that because normally like it's Cyclops or Emma Frost, but in this run, the central figure is Kitty Pryde, who again is the Buffy Summers of this book.
Right.
So it's again Colossus comes back from the dead. Angel, Buffy's boyfriend, is a vampire who came back from the dead. So it's there's so many parallels that
But it's not exactly recycling, is it?
it's not recycling. Again, it's just a signature, a stamp. It's as much as it's his style of writing. I don't know, man. Like I think he just likes writing stories with specific character tropes, because if you watch Firefly, totally different set of characters. So I know he can write a bunch of characters, and yet while I'm reading this, like again, this is Buffy. I'm reading Buffy, and don't get me wrong, it's a good book. It's a fun read. But since I'm a huge Buffy fan, like I'm reading this, like okay, it's yeah. And
Yeah.
it came to a point like it became kind of distracting for me, but I still read it. I still managed to read it through like in one sitting because again, it's a good book.
It's that good. I
It's
mean,
it's a good book.
and the thing is, if you're not a fan of, or if you haven't been watching a Buffy, you wouldn't probably know.
Yeah.
Probably knows.
Yeah, that's just a personal complaint because
Yeah.
again, I'm that big of a nerd.
And Buffy is, I mean, come on, it's a good
Yes.
show. I mean, that's one of the rare
It's
shows.
it's must see TV.
Yeah.
It revolutionized
Doesn't matter if
TV.
you're a nerd or not. I mean, that's one of the better shows that came out of what the
Our
90s.
lifetime actually.
Yeah.
Like it's not. There's very few shows that manage to touch the quality of Buffy, like past and present.
So you if you can't really spot the difference if you're not a
You're not
Buffy
me.
fan.
Like, you're not.
Mm.
You're not a
But it
nerd.
doesn't mean that it's bad though. I mean,
It's really good. It's still a good
yeah.
book, and which also like the whole Buffy comparison. Uh, it eliminated one of my biggest complaints about the X Men
Which
because
is
the X Men is always like there's always a bunch of them, and a lot of them aren't doing anything.
yeah.
Whedon streamlined the team into specific key members, and they all have a role to play. Even if the roles seem familiar to me,
Mhm.
it's still like if you're a casual reader or at least an X-Men fan, you because everyone is important in this run.
Right.
Like even guys like only appear because there are members of the X-Men here just appear for a few issues,
Mhm.
like guest spots, and because the core roster that they used is like perfect because it's balanced. You have kids, you have older members, you have a rookie in armor, you have Scott who's always like a tactician. He's a good leader, and like a lot of people shit on Scott Summers. It's
Yeah. Well.
and I've never agreed with it because Scott Summers, when handled by a very capable writer, has had like tremendous, legendary moments. You can it's actually on YouTube. Like you can search like
Yeah.
his best moments, and his best moments aren't always good because he's
Right.
been known to do like shitty things. But again, that's what makes him
He-
interesting.
Yeah, that's I remember '90s. They were trying to sort of Psylocke seducing the Cyclops. I mean,
Yeah.
that was weird. That was a weird time.
This was actually before
Hey.
AVX. So.
Oh hey, we
Oh, yeah, I know that guy. It's Will. Hey, now that you mention it, you know what else Astonishing X-Men persona rewrites resembles? A watered-down Watchmen. Hey, yes.
unpopular opinion.
Yeah. That's hey, there. That's William. He's
Yeah.
a friend from one of my previous jobs.
Hey.
He's also a super nerd. And a little shout out. He also has he has a Facebook page called the Banaho Boys. They handle gaming. So if you guys are
Really?
into gaming, like check out the Banaho Boys. They do live stream
Nice.
of like old school games at times. So yeah. So I have yet to I have yet to guest in that. Like I don't know if they allow cursing because that's what I do when I play games. I just curse like 50% of the time.
They can say fuck.
They can't. I don't know. He's a family man, but he curses a lot. So probably yeah. Back to the X-Men. One complaint also that I have is, like I mentioned, Colossus is one of my favorite X-Men. And one of the biggest reasons why I love Colossus is aside from the character design, yes, they do curse. Yeah, one of the reasons like I love Colossus's character design, the costume design, I also love his friendship with Nightcrawler.
Oh yeah.
But since Nightcrawler is not a regular member in this run,
Mm.
since they focus on like Peter and Kitty's relationship, so Nightcrawler doesn't really have that big of a role. So Kurt is gone, and he appears, I think, in
Yeah.
some parts.
Didn't he die at some point?
If they're X-Men, they die all the time.
True.
It's like
He's back. I mean, I'm seeing the
He's
recent
back.
X-Men books, and he's like, he's got this beardo look nowadays.
really like
Yeah.
he just looks more like a
And he's supposed to be a priest. I mean, a priest in tights. Yeah.
a priest in tights.
He's still wearing tights. That's so weird.
That's gonna give a lot of kids nightmares.
Yeah.
Like again, I don't want to spoil the end, but the end of this run features guest appearances from the Fantastic Four,
Spider-Man,
Spider-Man,
Doctor Strange,
the New Avengers, ex members of the X-Men that weren't like in this core group. I don't think that this came at a time when the market wasn't saturated with X-Men books,
Yeah.
because we only have Astonishing X-Men. I think this was a time of Extreme X-Men.
Yeah.
Where Rogue and Gambit and they're in space, I think.
Yeah. That
And that's it. Like X Force was.
X-Force was weird at the time. I remember,
Yeah.
but the who were the artists? I forgot, but they were doing a Doom Patrol at some point.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that Mike Allred.
Already,
The Mike Allred time, the Mike Allred era of X Force, where it was just just cartoony shit.
who was the green guy?
Goop, yeah, Goop or Boop or something. Yeah.
The Marvel Slimer.
Yes.
As it were.
So that was the X Force at the time. It was a real it was a 180-degree turn from the 90s X-Men where everyone's just badass and we're just all cool and like
We got
we-
testosterone.
yes, even though we live in a society that fears and hates us, we look at our pouches like X Force, man.
And guns.
Yeah.
Abel's got guns. Lots of guns.
Like every X team back in the 90s looked so badass that they were the cool kids, except for Excalibur. Like they were only cool by association.
They were across the pond anyway.
Yeah. But plus it was the X-Men. It was the mutant book that had a bunch of mystical elements. So I was never a fan of Excalibur.
Warren Ellis did a great run.
Yeah, I mean Warren Ellis does a great run everywhere.
True, which we will be this.
Yes. Mhm.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah. At some point, yes. It's my fault. I have to read a bunch of things. I'll be reading a bunch of things over the next few weeks. So yeah, what else can we say about Astonishing X-Men? It's Astonishing X-Men. It made the same way that Grant Morrison made Justice League cool again. And this is my opinion. The same way the Marvel Cinematic Universe made the Avengers cool again. This, I think, in my opinion, this is the run that made the X-Men cool again because they simplified everything. Because before Astonishing X-Men came out, it was a time when the X-Men was like fucking saturated with 20 members.
That was right after Grant Morrison's run, which is great in its own way. But
Zorn.
it's just so weird. I mean,
It's weird.
if you're familiar with Grant Morrison's other work, you can expect the weirdness there. But
Yeah.
if
That's
if
what
you-
happens when you let Grant Morrison do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Because Justice League is Justice League.
Yeah.
So, mwah,
So if,
amazing.
if you're jumping on from, let's say, you haven't read X-Men before, and you're
Yes.
jumping on Grant Morrison, that's not really a good
Yeah, that's not
thing to start in.
Mhm.
You know, I mean,
Like this is ground level shit here.
Yeah.
So you can enjoy this even if you have only an elementary knowledge. That's a bunch of reactions. Even if you only have an elementary knowledge of X-Men, and this is a book that you would enjoy. Will here commented, I like Excalibur only for Nightcrawler and Captain Britain.
yeah.
Me too actually. But I
I like Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler
It's
is
one of my favorite X-Men.
he's a character that's really hard to hate. You know, like he's hard to hate because
He's essentially the nice guy.
and he's
Nightcrawler.
always used well. Like the
Yeah.
writers always, it's easy to write Nightcrawler because he's the good guy,
He's the fun
pure
guy.
one. Yeah. Captain Britain, I'm not 100% sold on because I don't like that his powers are based on Britain. Like if he leaves,
He's got crooked taste,
uh,
mate.
that's where he stays. Tea, spot of tea. That's,
Let's have a cup of tea before we save the world.
but yeah, Captain Britain is also a great character. Nightcrawler is an amazing character. But Excalibur had 5 members, and if only 2 of those characters are amazing, like
Kitty
Megan
Pryde was
and
there.
again, I'm not a big fan of Kitty Pryde. I mean, she's great and all, but the only reason why I kept reading Kitty Pryde because she has Lockheed, the dragon,
Oh yeah,
and it's cool.
and he's in Astonishing X-Men too.
Yeah, it's her pet. Yeah, she has a pet dragon. And but wait,
But she's
timeline.
not the mother of dragons.
Timeline wise, did this come before or after House of M?
Before. I think.
Before, because Wolverine is already wearing yellow in House of M. But so this was
then
before
the-
House of M.
Before Astonishing, they were wearing the leather thingies.
Okay, because I noticed like there are Avengers here, but no Captain America, but there's the Sentry.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a weird timeline. I will confirm this. Jamie Braddock. Who is Jamie Braddock? Yeah. Yes. The weird dude from
From X-Force. Was it X-Force?
not X-Force, but he's the weird guy, the thin weird guy. Oh, you know who I like?
Oh, he was in Secret Wars.
Really? Everyone was in Secret Wars.
Right. I mean, he's one of the. Anyway.
Oh no, but since we're talking about Excalibur and obviously Will is paying attention, I don't know if any of you guys know him. One character from Excalibur that I love, Pete Wisdom.
Oh, he had his own series.
Really? No, it was Pride and Wisdom. It was him and Kitty Pryde.
Him and Kitty Pryde, yeah.
But no, he's not good. He's not a good enough character to have his own book because it only has like hot knives. That's his power. Like heat energy comes out of
Yeah,
his
I was
fingers.
sort of at the tail end of my
Yeah.
X-Men era reading. So.
Yeah, I like him because he was. Yeah, he had minor powers. But essentially the character is amazing. Like he's a detective or a former police officer, and
Yeah.
he smokes a lot, and he's
That
just
was
really
the impression he was like John Constantine, but
Yes, he's like John Constantine, and yeah, there are a lot of like going back to the topic. There are a lot of mutant books out there, and because I'm a casual fan of X-Men, like
you.
yeah, no, I'm not a casual.
You
I'm a casual fan of X-Men. Like if I'm going to a bookstore and mutant books are at the bottom of my list. If I'm like craving for a new book, like, but there are certain books that like I'm really into. Like Astonishing X-Men is one of them.
Yeah.
It's again, I'm not a big X-Men fan. Like I'm a big fan of this book. Granted, I picked it up because of Joss Whedon, but still, as an X-Men book, I appreciate it. Um, we're talking about other X-Men storylines before we went live. I mentioned Phalanx, the Phalanx saga.
Right.
I hope they come out with that soon because that is one X-Men
Yeah.
story arc that I love.
They haven't actually did a comprehensive. I mean, I personally would shell out cash for a comprehensive Phalanx
Phalanx Covenant, that's what it's
Covenant.
called. Yeah, Phalanx
collection. I
Covenant.
mean, there were a few arcs aside from Phalanx Covenant because you've got the that crossover
Mhm.
where some of the X-Men got kidnapped and formed.
Yes.
Generation X got formed, and then there was a later arc where sort of they revealed that the Phalanx on Earth were
Mhm.
like sort of they're bastards basically.
Yes.
There were a more pure Phalanx
Mhm.
race out in space, and the X-Men and the Shi'ar encountered that, and there was and I only got to read that because I was collecting the Joe Madureira
Yes,
issues.
Joe Mad is amazing.
He co-created the Phalanx, I think,
Mm.
and you could see by
It's
the
a funky
way
design, yes.
the way he drew it.
Yeah, it's very animated. They're flowing like it's you know how the phalanx are like tiny little insects
Chips.
that yeah.
That was
Yeah,
crazy.
because the reason why we were choosing books to review and I really pushed for this because Astonishing X-Men, like the previous book that we reviewed, Infinity, it's very underrated. Like not a lot of people when you talk to even X-Men fans, uh, everyone knows this is a great book, but it remains to be an afterthought.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, because like when you talk to people about X-Men, like they would mention a lot of
Jim
things.
Lee.
The Jim Lee run, the recent AVX when like Scott killed someone. I don't want to spoil it for you guys. Killed someone important,
someone important.
and yeah, and then the Dark Phoenix saga, and then again, in their own merits, those are all like iconic, pivotal X-Men books. But Astonishing X-Men, the entire Joss Whedon and John Cassaday run. John Cassaday, by the way, one of my favorite artists.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hey, we're gonna do another John Cassaday work.
yes.
In some future episode. Foreshadowing.
But yeah, like Astonishing X-Men deserves more love than it gets. And yeah, now we're going to the portion of the show where we talk about whether or not you should own this. I am planning on owning this once he upgrades. The thing is, how many editions of this run is available? What's available out there? What can they get?
Okay, well, you've got these. These are probably the most accessible copies.
Are these still
or
like?
editions.
Can you still like find these in my
Yes.
favorite bookstore, Fully Book?
And Philbars and probably other comic stores. Yes, they're probably the easiest way to collect. I mean, you only need to buy 2 volumes and that's it. 2 volumes.
Complete story or
if-
complete run. Yeah.
These same volumes also came out earlier in hardcover format, and it covers the same stories, all 24 issues plus the giant size issue.
Oh, it's one book.
No, those were 2 books as well.
But it's the same thing, but it's
Same thing, but in hardcover. And then later on, there was a single volume, the omnibus, but that's what I was looking for. But that's so fucking hard to find.
Oh, okay. And expensive or
It's out
or
of
just
print.
standard?
It's out of print.
Right.
I mean, the thing with Marvel is, and if you are planning on collecting Marvel, hardcovers, you should expect to pay a premium if it's out of print because they very rarely do second runs of the same books.
They
So
have
if it's
so many things to sell.
so if it's out of print, you could try your luck with other collectors who are willing to part with their copies, or uh, I don't know, eBay. But you expect to pay a premium with those things.
Wait, before I forget, you know how we always mention that I'm a big fan of soft covers and he likes it hard.
Covers.
Yes. One of the things I like about these editions, these are soft covers, but not every soft cover has special features.
Oh yeah.
This one has extra content, like an introduction and stuff from Joss Whedon, sketches. Excuse me. So there's a yeah, man. Like it's look, they have sketches, so like original, like new character designs. It's so glary. Sorry, very glary. But yeah, this is not a common thing for soft cover editions.
Mhm.
And yeah, they really like again this edition, even if it's soft bound. That's why I tried to clear up like if the hardcover is the same exact
Yeah.
thing, because this makes this collection kind of like a labor of love. Like like Marvel at the very least recognizes how beloved this run is by like really hardcore fans. So like here's
By
everything.
making, mhm.
We're not gonna charge you extra for all these
They're-
fascinating shit. Yeah.
they're making it available for
Mhm.
even the. I mean, if you have just discovered Astonishing X-Men through this
Yes.
clip right now, I mean, it's been years since it's been out. So if you're just if you're curious and you want to buy it, you could just drop by a favorite bookstore, and
And
you
mhm.
chances are you will find a copy of it at a very affordable price.
Yeah. And it's an easy read. Like I read through all of this in one day. I had a free day. I was in the mood to read comics, and this was perfect because it was just like the entire run is just you don't need to back read anything
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, like certain people come back from the dead like Colossus, but it's just one like it's a it's one complete season. Like that's
Yeah.
what I compared to a season of a TV show. So you just sit down, you read, you can read through the entire thing, and it depends on how long you can. Because my eyes get tired quickly, but it's not a stretch to read it in one sitting.
Yeah.
Because it's very light, it's very fun, but it's also very good. It's very well written, and yeah, it's one of the more enjoyable reads. Like in the this is only episode 4, but of all the 4 books that we've discussed, I think this is the lightest and most enjoyable read
Yeah.
that we've done so far.
And it doesn't like you don't have to be an X-Men expert just
Yeah.
to understand what's going on. The thing is, if I know at least a couple of people who got into X-Men because of Astonishing X-Men.
Yes,
They
I
have,
actually was.
Mhm.
Like I said, I'm not a big fan of the X-Men. I read this. I actually got interested in what happens after, and then I dropped them again. What happened after wasn't really nice. What did happen after? After like historically, what happened? Like after Joss Whedon's run,
Man, I
who
forgot.
took over? Because House of M happened,
Right.
and after House of M, it wasn't long before we had Civil War.
Well, there was still Astonishing X-Men, but no, sorry, that was Morrison's the tail end of
Yeah.
Morrison's one where they sort of did the future thing.
Yes, yes, yes. This was released slightly before the time that Marvel got event crazy,
Mhm.
because it was it started with Avengers Disassembled
Oh yeah.
when they did that, and then it was just one event after another, and then they branched off into like there's an Avengers event and an X-Men event running at the same time. Like we had like the thing Schism and
Oh, yeah.
the thing with prophecy something.
Original Sin. No.
No, 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 that's
Uh,
way too new. The one with Mr. Sinister, Prophet,
Mutant Messiah.
Mutant Messiah, and then the follow up to that. Again, and then they just met again in AVX, and then after that, like they branched off again. So it
Yeah.
just
And there's this new recent X-Men Red, Blue, Gold.
yes, and this was the last time the X-Men was actually like just a fun book to read.
Yeah.
Like you just sit down and it's it. Like you don't have to worry about Scarlet Witch wiping out all the mutants and shit like that. None
Oh,
of
yeah.
that drama. It's just the X-Men fighting aliens and mutant haters, and while trying to work out their own fucking issues, which is at the core the essence of
Yeah.
what makes a really good X-Men book.
There was a cliffhanger at the end though.
Yeah, but I don't want to
Yeah.
spoil it. It's the ending of this run is actually pretty cool
Yeah.
and dumb at the same time, but it's really fucking amazing. And I don't want
It
to.
ended on a high note. Like,
Yes.
we're going out. This is our last issue, so we're gonna make it big,
Hmm.
and they did,
And
which is great.
that's a sign of a really good run.
Right.
Like you ended on a high note, even if it's a cliffhanger, and like you have fans satisfied. Uh, all of this, like this entire run, has characters that by the end of the run, you have every character. Like they all have their moments,
Mhm.
and they're all epic. And hey, I
Bunch
don't know,
of
it's like
reactions.
yeah, a bunch of it's like one person just clicking everything. So thank you, one person. But yeah, so
we had a haha react. I wonder why.
I think it's my extra just joke.
Oh.
I'm really pushing
Oh.
for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm highly recommending this book for reading at least. Like if you don't want to shell out money for an X-Men book, like I'm not usually like that. If you know someone who's willing to lend it to you or other ways, fucking read it. Read it. Like it's if you like comic books, if you like superheroes, this is a good book to read. Like you will not be like you will not be disappointed with Astonishing X-Men.
Yeah,
Just
I
read
mean,
the entire run.
regardless of whether you're a DC or a Marvel fan, you should at least read it
Yeah.
once.
Plus, there are no DC or Marvel fans. That's
Yeah.
toxic. There's only
Right.
comic book fans. All right.
Right.
Like if you identify I'm a Marvel fan, fuck you. No, you're a casual who just watched the movies and
I keep seeing them everywhere.
yes. Like either you like comics or you don't. Yeah, you like certain titles. I mean, I grew up on Marvel and DC. I take no sides because they're all comic books. Like I love Daredevil and I also love the Creeper.
The who?
The Creeper.
Oh, that guy.
Yes.
Mark Hamill did a good creeper.
Mark Hamill does nothing wrong except
True.
for the Trickster. No, but it was still amazing though.
But that was TV Trickster.
Yes,
I don't.
on both
I sort of
on,
stopped.
on both shows.
Oh yeah.
He was the Trickster in the original 90s Flash.
Yeah.
He appeared as the Trickster in the new one.
All right. Yeah.
He is the father of the new Trickster. So it was great. It was great. It was a really nice. It was very meta because
I think
Flash's
they were-
father was the first Flash.
They were overdoing that for a bit. I mean, with
Yeah.
watch the recent.
I haven't watched any of the latest DC shows.
I sort of stopped because they were like, it's like the villain of the season kind of thing.
Yes.
It's
Well,
kind of-
but like given all of that, I think Flash is still like the best of them all. I watch. I at least I want to watch Legends of Tomorrow simply because I like teams.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm not sold on Supergirl. I'm not sold on Arrow. Yeah, Flash is.
I just sort of watched the recent crossovers because hey, Batwoman,
Yes.
she's not
Was
an
it good?
X-Men, but
They good
yeah, it was
the crossover because the one
It was
before
between-
that with the invasion, the Dominators,
yeah.
that was kind of cool. But
They did tease a Crisis on Infinite Earths after, so
in Superman with the black suit, right?
that wasn't this thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of. They needed more episodes. They should have done more episodes for that.
Yes. They only do one episode per show.
Yeah.
When they do the crossover.
They didn't do Legends.
Yeah, but they're gone. I think they're gone. I think that one's ending.
Yeah.
I think they're canceling it.
Again,
Yeah.
I mean, Constantine is there, so
I don't know. Like I think he's cursed. Like everything he does is like, okay, cancel that.
man.
Yeah,
We
going
should,
back
we
to
should, we should do Constantine sometime.
yes, we will. Like it's just a lot of things to go through. But
I have a huge collection.
yes, I
So,
noticed.
yeah.
So yeah, again, recommendation: read it. If you want to buy it, buy it. But at the very least, read this. Read the Joss Whedon run, Astonishing X-Men. Also, if you like this and you like the art, John Cassaday also drew Uncanny Avengers.
Oh yeah, that was good too.
Yes, and there was a run in Captain America that he did. It was also amazing. That's where I discovered him.
Oh yeah.
So when I saw Oscar and John Cassaday, like, okay, that might
He
be.
does James Bond covers now.
Yes, because again, like the art, I like the art because you get to distinguish every character. Every character is a distinct, facial features and facial expressions that
Yeah.
are in character. Like
Yeah.
you don't see Cyclops doing winky
Hey,
superhero
remember
faces.
that part when Lockheed showed up?
Yes.
That was awesome.
Mhm.
That was
And
awesome. And then he also drew the entire run of Planetary.
yes,
Foreshadowing.
like you can see like how every character he draws, they're in proportion. Like you can see like they look like people,
Yeah.
real people of varying shapes and sizes. Like they're not the like the 90s X-Men where everyone has amazing boobs.
And Cyclops isn't he supposed to be slim? I mean,
Yeah,
he's
that's
called
his
Slim,
nickname.
and yet 90s Cyclops would be like, he's got packs,
I,
man.
I I blame. I don't blame Jimmy. It's just I blame the trend. Everyone in the
I
90s
guess.
like her.
And instead of suits, they're like everyone's got painted.
Yeah, like even the nerds, even the nerd characters are like they. The fucking Spider-Man was buff as fuck.
Oh, yeah.
Like it was only until like he was handled by Mark Bagley,
Mark Bagley, yeah.
and for a little bit Humberto Ramos.
Well, Humberto Ramos is, I don't know. There was this sort of sub trend where Joe Madureira came onto the scene,
Yeah,
and then Chris Machado and then Humberto Ramos. They were doing these proportionally
a little ripped.
bottom heavy,
Uh,
not ripped, but
but the thighs, he has the
big
thick.
arms.
Yeah, it's not like.
I guess there was some influence in it, but
Mhm.
and then there were
Too
of course
much.
the rip-offs. So I mean, if you were reading around the same time as X-Men, Age of Apocalypse, there were a few artists who sort of became Joe Madureira wannabes.
Yeah, but yeah. Speaking of art and physiques, that are, I just have to. It's way off topic. The Flash. It's one gripe that I have. They always draw him as this big, huge guy. He's a runner. Give him a runner's physique.
Yeah, I mean the
Like,
TV show actually
Yeah, it was
did a good
perfect.
job
Yeah, the dude from Glee is perfect. That's the Flash. But
the dude from Glee.
yeah, he's the dude from Glee.
You
Yeah.
watch Glee?
Yeah, first two seasons are amazing.
Okay.
That's my revelation for the night. So yeah, like I think that about wraps it up. Again,
Yes, it does.
it gets thumbs up for us. At the very least, again, read it.
We should do books that suck sometime.
Yeah, but we don't own books that suck.
No, we don't.
But if
But,
you guys
yeah.
have, I'm not saying if you guys have books that suck, but if you guys have comics that you want us to review, wanna find out what we think about those books, just like send us a message or put it in the comments, and
Comments.
even if you don't have the book, there are ways to read it.
Yeah.
And we will read it, and
I mean,
we'll talk about it.
If we keep this up, we'll run out of physical books anyway. So
Yes. And again, we keep plugging Fully Booked because that's where I get my books. And
that's where I get my books. So, hey, Alabang branch. I
Greenbelt.
hope they're watching.
Yeah. So again, my name is Rene Cruz Jr.
And I'm Clifford Honko.
and we are those fucking
Fucking
nerds.
nerds.
Thank you and good night.
Good night. It's not ending.
Awkward.